5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. I hear voices in my head, they counsel me, they understand, they talk to me. Ooga chaka, ooga, ooga, ooga chaka. Phenomena. Tiptoe through the tulips with me.
You are about to experience the awe and mystery which reaches from the inner mind to
This one's explosive.
Well, this ain't no Jimmy Fallon or Dr. Phil, and we ain't giving out no Kool-Aid. Just a truth pill. Think you can take it? A shot of realism? Put on the reality glasses for Deceit Prism.
Hey, what's up? You're listening to Talk Supernatural Radio, where we bring Supernatural 411 from the U.S. to the U.K., up north to down under, Rhode Island to Easter Island, from the outback to the front door, even from Frog Jump, Tennessee to Camel Hump, Wyoming. And if you are listening, you are right where you're supposed to be.
The views and opinions and personalities expressed on this show are those solely of TSR and do represent who we are and what we believe. If you don't like satire, if you find rabbit trailing annoying, if you don't like to laugh, if you can't handle the truth, do not listen to this show. We are not responsible for your nightmares, denial issues, bleeding ears, or annoyance.
Welcome to another episode of TSR. We are Heidi and Scott Lennon, supernatural investigators. Our broadcasting effort is to cast lights on the darkness, to reveal the hidden things in our world. We just happen to have some facts, some news, some experiences, stories, with just a few laughs and words for all of us, each and every, even the unborn, to live right by.
That was a little bit of, who was that guy? The neighborhood guy? Mr. Rogers. He always put on sweaters and walked around in his socks. Yeah. That's what you sounded like.
Do you like my sweater?
Each
They're
and
10
every,
years old.
each and all of us. We want to mention, if you guys listened to last week's episode, we were having some audio issues. So Scott sounded a bit distant. I apologize. We got a new mic and we're testing things out. But I think we got it worked out now. I hope so. We are broadcasting live. So if you're listening, you can join us in chat. Just click on the little chat bubble.
Chat bubble.
Yeah.
Chat bubble.
Chat bubble.
Yeah.
But if you have any questions or comments during the show, we'll make you part of the show. So.
Well, we also have a few emails. That, we had quite a few last week. We had I was like, okay, we're going to be here for a week.
Yeah, I actually had a few people email us and ask why we didn't read their emails. But the thing was, a lot of those emails were old, but people must have just been hoping or assuming that.
Right. Well, I know there's so many. You can't please everybody.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I wish we could.
But we're going to do a couple tonight, and then we'll do a couple next time.
That's what we're going to do.
We're going to have to. Got to be fair.
Yep.
We're a fair podcast. Tonight we have a variety of topics that we're going to hit. We're going to talk about residual haunting, talk a little bit about some things that CERN's been up to, and we're going to talk about a mercy killing, and I forgot what else. But, we'll rabbit trail and we'll do all kinds of stuff. But first, let's get to some regular news. Interesting.
Headlines.
Yeah, we know.
All right, so you remember that commercial, the one where in the 80s it was like the old guy, the rich guy in the limo, he's like, excuse me, do you have any gray poupon or whatever? Yeah. Well, this reminds me of this story because it's like, I don't know, excuse me, do you have any red grapes? I know it sounds weird, but check this out. A bunch of grapes sold for $11,000 in Japan. I guess fruit's seen as a social prestige, and it's sold at high prices. So a supermarket owner in Japan, he bought 30 grapes, each worth about $360. They're called Ruby Romans. It's a super sweet grape. I don't know anything about grapes. I just
really wanted them.
Yeah, I mean, I won't even pay for that couple extra dollars for the organic.
Yeah.
Gosh. The owner said that they're going to display the grapes at their store before giving customers a sample taste.
Only
Whoa.
3. I mean,
And
I could cut them in half. So.
Boy, we take our produce section for granted, I guess, over here, you know.
I don't know. Their climate should be able to handle growing grapes.
You don't think about that. I don't know what the deal is.
You can grow a bonsai tree.
I guess the Japanese are often willing to pay top dollar for fruit, like a single apple can cost up to $3. Just
I know
one
where
apple.
I'm going. I know our business.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's Macintosh, buddy. That's $15.99.
That sounds good. I think you should do that.
I polished it too.
This whole time we've been in the wrong
I know.
business. We'll have to learn
Make
some
sure
Japanese.
he gets back every apple seed too.
Oh
You
yeah.
have to get back the apple seed. Wash in the bag. Because you're not getting any.
Oh, of course not. Melons are sometimes sold for the equivalent price of what we pay for vintage wine.
Wow.
That's a lot. Not that I buy vintage wine, but I know it's a lot because I watch movies. And they always bring out, and this is a 1919, and it's like thousands of dollars. Another story is a missing millionaire. He's on the loose. A California 7-Eleven store sold a winning ticket in the record $1.6 billion Powerball jackpot. That is a lot of buku bucks.
Wow. Yeah.
That was actually 6 months ago, though. So the person who bought the ticket has not come forward to claim their $500 million or $500 million.
They probably don't know they won. Threw the ticket away.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And people get tickets lost in the bottom, on the floorboard. Card doesn't even know they're winning. I mean,
Could you imagine that?
didn't watch the news,
Not a
may not
clue.
even know they're looking for anybody.
People are probably panicking now. They're like garbage cans are all
yeah.
over the place right now.
But
Well, security cameras can help find the winner eventually. Lottery officials say that they're holding on to that footage of the security in case someone comes forward to claim their winning ticket was lost or destroyed, because anybody could say, "Oh, it was mine. It was me."
Oh.
So they can compare to the footage. They've zeroed in on about 3 dozen possible winners. So they're wondering, did that person lose their ticket, or they wait?
Right.
Sometimes they wait and they get a lawyer and all that stuff. But it's been 6 months, so they probably just don't know. If the ticket is lost, the winner can still collect. So you just have to go through like this. You have to file a claim, and there's going to be like a little investigation to make sure it's you. And so that's pretty decent, don't you think?
I think so. This was my ticket.
Snakes on a plane.
Yes.
We did a story on tarantulas on a plane.
Scary.
That was a movie. Snakes on a
Yes.
plane. But tarantulas on a plane, that's not been a movie. That's just something we... there probably will be. You never know.
Sure.
But now, crabs on a subway.
What?
Yeah. Subway transportation in New York City usually has about 5.7 million passengers a day. Isn't that nuts? Just to think about that? I mean, we're here in Wisconsin, so we don't really think about stuff like that. I mean, it's rare that we'll even see a city bus. But over the weekend, subway riders encountered an empty car and, well, empty except 50 crabs were on the floor. It was the N train in Queens. It stenched of 50 dead crabs, and they were everywhere.
Oh.
Now, they were alive at some point because someone attempted to save them by throwing water on them. A witness said that some guy came on the train after he did, and he said in a psychotic attempt to help these crabs, he threw a liter of water onto the floor.
That's more than anybody else did.
Yeah,
So.
but I guess it didn't work.
So did they get out of something? Were they in a crate?
No one knows. It's a mystery. It's a
Yeah, they can
phenomenon.
only live so long without
It's like the Northern Lights. No one knows, really.
crabs on the
so
loose.
So I thought that was funny. Here's a crazy coincidence. Sarah Maruz?
Yeah.
And I'm so bad at last names. I destroy them. And her sister, Leah Rogers. Okay, they're identical twins. They have different last names now because they're married. But they have shared everything from clothes to toys over the years. Birthday parties. Now they're going to be sharing something else, another birthday party. The 35-year-old women both welcomed in their firstborn children on the same date at the same exact time.
That's just weird.
It is weird. It was June 30th at 1:18 a.m. Now, they live in different cities. One's in Colorado and one's in California.
Oh.
So they're on different time zones.
Oh.
So even though it was like different times, it was really the same time.
Same time for them.
Yeah. One gave birth to a boy and the other to a girl. I guess they didn't plan on getting pregnant at the same time. Neither of them knew about each other's pregnancy. And they both decided to surprise the family on Thanksgiving when they all got together. One sister said she wanted it to be a surprise, but when her sister showed up at the door, she said somehow she just knew that her sister was pregnant. She said, when my sister's husband got the text about Reed being born at 1:18, he apparently shouted at the doctors. He couldn't believe it. Rogers said with a laugh, it was literally the exact same time, the 1 hour difference time zone. So I think that's pretty cool. They say, like twins have that.
They say it.
You know who they are.
Yeah, I know how they can be.
They like twins can sense things or whatever.
They sense things.
Like I just learned
twice as much
yesterday that you told me we were talking about this. Someone told me, and then you confirmed it because you're smart like they are.
Right? Yes. Like
that bears sense when women.
Sure, they sense blood. So there's blood. Yeah.
So if women have their period, bears can sense it.
It's somewhat of an attractant, yeah.
And my friend texted me and said she's scared because she has her period, and I said, I hope you're not in Yellowstone because you're screwed.
They're chasing you down. You're going down.
So you learn something new every day. So bears have these sixth sense.
To be a grisly experience.
Oh man, that was pretty good though. Okay,
oh my God.
I give you that one though. That was pretty good. Okay, so here's an update. Actually, we had 2 emails randomly asking us what was going on. They must listen to past podcasts about the case that we were on.
Okay.
We were helping police in a different state with a case, and it was a missing person case originally, and they suspected it was a murder, which now we found out that it is. It's been 2 years. Has it been 2 years? It's been
2?
I think so. It wasn't last fall. Maybe.
I think it's been like 3 years.
No, really?
Well, since it happened or since we've been there?
Since we've been there. I think it was.
I think it's been 2.
Okay. Yeah. Well, and then, we got called in because we work with a lot of people with mental health issues and things like that. So we watched some of their video footage of interviews of their suspects, and it was just crazy how God led us into giving the police information about, God gave us a name.
Yep.
Ended up being this person's middle name. We had no clue, the missing person. Well, now we found out that he is dead. But God gave us numbers, which you and the sheriff realized were coordinates.
Right.
And those coordinates were to a park. And the person that has now been arrested for the murder was at that park with the person that they killed. And now it turns out that this person, and the reason I can't say anything right now is because it's still going on. Yeah, once it's over with, we might even do a show and talk about the whole case because it was a lot of supernatural elements going on. But this person turned out is possibly a serial killer now because they are saying that they've killed multiple people and they've kept items of the people. So it's turned out to be this wild Lifetime movie. Yeah. So hopefully once that case gets wrapped up and that person ends up convicted and in jail and whatnot, or they're in jail but prison, then maybe we could actually get into detail and talk about everything. That would be really cool. I have to get the police permission though. So
yes, you do.
And I want to let everybody know that's been asking because I've had a lot of people ask. My book is sold out of every venue right now. The second edition, the publisher picked it up and it should be out in September. The only difference is it's going to be under a pen name. So I will let you guys know when that's out, the link, and you can...
Yeah, all this technical stuff.
Oh, yeah, a lot of rules to publishing companies. Wow.
Yeah, so many people are lawsuit happy now. You can't, don't say this, don't say that, don't put that name, don't put that address or city or time period. It's like, oh, come on, what's the point of the story?
Yeah,
somewhere in the world, someone did this to me, maybe.
And the office, somebody. It's like, what?
It's like, good, now nobody can sue. Yeah, nobody knows what the heck you're talking about.
Well, I guess we could go into some of our topics tonight.
We could.
The one thing we were going to talk about a little bit, and I do want to do a show with maybe Justin and Eric from Pure Truth Radio eventually on this topic and talk about this whole thing. But we're just going to touch on it tonight, which is residual haunting.
Right.
Now, we've experienced some things, which we'll talk about in a minute. Although I'm still not a believer that residual haunting is a thing.
It is. It's a thing.
And you think it's a thing. So.
Otherwise, you couldn't even write up here residual haunting if it wasn't a thing to write about.
That's true.
So, for anyways, you virgins out there, just in case you didn't know what a residual haunting is.
Residual.
Residual.
Yeah. I know you want to be French.
I know it's residual.
I do.
The residual haunting is a supernatural playback of the past event over and over and over again. Like keep broken, skipped, how you say, recording.
You're so good at that stuff. I can't do it. I try and I
am
just
from
sound
another
stupid.
planet.
I believe that. Okay, so along with intelligent hauntings and poltergeist and demonical. See, now I can't talk either. Demonic hauntings. Demonical. A residual haunting is thought to be one of the 4 forms of a haunting. What?
Yeah. Some of this.
Oh.
Yeah.
Now, whether it's a sound or voice or an apparition, it's believed that residual encounters are not spirits, but like you said, recordings of the event.
You made me say that.
Well, yeah, but that's what it is.
I don't know. Well, somebody just is like stuck doing the same thing every night at the same time.
Maybe.
That's all that. I mean, we don't have a positive
Some
answer.
people live
and that's
like
why
that.
we'll bring other people in later on, like you said.
Yeah, it's good to get other people's perspectives.
Because it proving, residual hauntings or residual things over and over.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see that it happens. You record it happens. You can do different things and prove that it's happening. But as far as the why, it's tough.
It's tough.
Why we do the same thing, and it's like, doesn't make a lot of sense. But we know that it happens.
Yeah, we just don't know what it is.
What is it?
What is it? The first printed phrase of residual haunting in reference to the paranormal was a 1996 book called Sightings by Susan Michaels. But the general concept was actually touched on in the 60s, in 1961, by Thomas Lethbridge.
Thomas Lethbridge.
He had a book called Ghost and Ghoul.
Ghost and Ghouls by Thomas Bennett.
Then, in 1971, there was a show called The Stone Tape, and it described a haunting in which ghost imagery was repeated over and over via recording on the walls and floors. And from there, they've come up with this theory called the stone tape theory.
Okay.
And that's the speculation that past events can be stored in moist rocks and other items and then replayed under certain conditions. Some paranormal events and phenomena are being attributed to this action. So, yeah, I don't...
Weak.
Yeah, I know.
Of that. This theory states that ghosts and hauntings are equivalent to, let's say, like tape recordings.
Yeah.
Okay, and the electrical mental impressions are released during emotional or traumatic events. I don't know about the impressions in the rock.
Yeah, it's
I've
a
always
highly
found
believed thing. I'm just like,
I know, there's plenty of we've experienced some of it ourselves, so we know.
Right.
Yeah.
So we just don't. Well, Thomas Lethbridge was a British archaeologist, and he turned parapsychologist. Then, when he made this theory,
Actually, he was only one psychologist.
he was a parapsychologist.
You can only be a psychologist. You can't be
A
pair of them.
Unless you have split personality, then you can be.
You can't be. That's
If
true.
you have schizophrenia.
Then you could be a schizophrenic
Para-schizophrenic psychologist.
Yes. That you could do.
Well, when he made the theory, it was popularized by BBC in the 70s, and then they made the stone tape thing. So you hear tons of stories from people who visit Gettysburg. You've heard that, where they see soldiers at their hotel or actual portions of a battle on the field.
Right.
They even claim to hear gunfire. So,
But here you're talking about some very traumatic things.
right.
But this is like residual. It's repeating itself for what purpose?
Well, then when we were at Mantino
Maybe.
Insane Asylum, it was abandoned for many years.
Many. Like shut down for like close to 30 years,
And
I
what
think.
we experienced on our EVP, on our tape recorders, would sort of counteract this theory, because it talks about emotional stuff in
What are you talking? A mental institution's going to have all sorts of...
But what we caught was
Right,
a
but-
bell and someone being paged.
Yeah,
a doctor that was there.
we paid like a day at work.
Right, and that wouldn't be an
but
emotional stress.
it's
unless
part of it.
You think?
You're hearing something, and that was
I
very
believe,
clear and real.
And
So,
again, I believe it's a demonic manipulation to lure people in more.
I believe it's another time, another dimension, one in which you have not experienced yet.
We sort of experienced it. There's a very small amount of people that believe it's actually
Do not judge
time.
people by their size.
They're saying that a stamp in time that is actually going on right
People
now.
are not stamped. They are simply created by the Lord your God and that of your mother and father.
Okay, well, so I want to read this email that we got. It was, I don't even know, it was a while back, okay? I saved,
Little while back.
I have a whole
back,
folder of our
back.
emails.
Little while back.
Now, she talks what she thinks is residual, but I'll explain why I don't think it is. You tell me what you think.
You're wrong.
Why am I wrong? I haven't even read it yet.
Yeah, well, I got ESPN. I know what I'm doing.
You have ESPN?
Yep.
Awesome.
1 and 2. I'm not
If you
good.
keep making me laugh, I can't do this. All right. My daughter-in-law is very scientifical and by the book. She doesn't believe in God, much less the paranormal. She and her grandson came to live with us from Maine when our son was deployed to Iraq. We live in Washington, and every night she was freaked out because she says a few times she felt someone was holding her down while in bed. What she didn't know was when my sister came to visit last summer, it happened to my nephew in the same room. I never told her that. He experienced not being able to get up. Here's the kicker. My nephew and my daughter-in-law both swore they heard cannon booms and troops marching around at the same time. We used to tease my nephew that he was on drugs. My neighbor said it could be residual. What in the world? We never experienced anything here, and we've lived here over 10 years. What's up with this? That's Lori G. in Washington. Now, I don't think it's residual. Now, I see the whole cannon thing or whatever, but I don't know what cannons and stuff are doing in Washington, but because of the whole experience of her, her daughter-in-law and then her nephew being held down by something.
It seems to almost be a mixture to me. Like there's two things going on there.
You think?
And one's just part of the other. Because when you start experiencing actual pressure and feeling that, which is a very, very common thing with lots of people who have haunted houses or they've been playing with Ouija boards and stuff. They've opened up that door, and then now they're beginning to feel that pressure of someone like on their chest or holding them down. I've heard people say they can't move at all.
Right.
But then we have the cannons and stuff going on in the background, almost like two things. But
Both
yeah,
in
I
the
don't
same
understand
room.
one would actually follow the other and how they would be a part of the same.
Yeah, and well, she'd mentioned that they haven't experienced anything, but they obviously must be a guest room or something.
Could be a guest room,
and they don't sleep in there, so she said they've never experienced anything.
And two, you could have a family there that's maybe not sensitive to it, so they don't notice it, or they've just never went that way in their lives, and their background's pretty clean as far as spiritual things, and they just don't have an open door to see or hear it, which is fine.
Right.
But so. Yeah, maybe not everybody. I mean, not everybody goes into a situation being told that this is going to happen, that's going to happen, and you get these people saying, well, nothing happened to me. That doesn't happen to everybody.
But let's say, okay, this whole theory about the stone tape theory, but which we don't believe. But when we've got residual haunting, why would it be? I mean, we're like in the year 2016, and we've got so many deaths and violence and stuff in the past. So why do some have it and others don't? I know we don't have all the answers, but this is why I don't believe it's residual. Why I believe that it's a demonic manipulation, but because otherwise we have activity all the time.
We talked on it last week a little bit when we talked about the idea about those in Christ are at rest. They're at peace.
Right.
They're sleeping until they're to be awaken again at the sound of the trumpet. Okay, fine. So those who are not in Christ does not say that they are resting or sleeping. Doesn't say they're being condemned to hell either, because they can't be condemned if there hasn't been judgment.
Right. So we don't know where they're at.
Exactly. So you get different people with different torments, different problems, and
so
no
you think
reason
they're
that
actually
their
reliving
soul,
this?
They could be reliving moments, time periods, for instances, just things that did not settle with them.
And that would be a horrible...
Right, they're reliving moments in their life.
That's a hell in itself, actually.
There's a level of punishment there. And, we don't know exactly how God deals with it. There could come a time where the white throne judgment, I mean, I think a lot of people forget the rapture is one thing, and we don't get into all that right now, what you believe or don't believe. But the white throne judgment judges everybody else. Now, when you go before a judge, it doesn't mean you're always guilty.
Right.
I mean, there's not a single person, good, bad, Christian, non-Christian, whatever, that has not done something wrong. So we're all short.
Right.
We all fall short. So it doesn't mean someone goes before that white throne judgment and God might say, do you understand now? I mean, do you know what you've done wrong? Where you went? Do you and I don't know. I'm not there. This is way beyond telling somebody, no, this is what's going to happen. We don't know exactly how the white throne judgment works.
Yeah. So do you lean more towards the physical aspect of it than the supernatural? Do. Yeah.
Well, it's supernatural is not explained.
Right.
Event.
Yeah.
So I lean that way, thinking it's something bigger. People have not settled. That's why we're able to go to a place Mantino and have these recordings and have these people were touched. We picked up heat where there's no heat. We picked up all these things that does not physically exist there any longer because there's no power, there's no water, there's no electricity. It hasn't been 30 years. Yet all these readings are real and our pictures are real. Our soundtracks are real. So where'd they come from? And I think it's just people are left in a state of agony in a sense.
Yeah.
Dealing with their situation.
So the whole residual, they're talking about energy being trapped and then later released. So I guess it's trapped there for a while, and I wonder, I mean, what's that saying? If you're not in the woods, do you hear a tree fall? Have you ever heard that phrase?
Yes, how do you know if the tree fell?
If you're not in the woods or whatever.
Right.
Okay, so it's like that. So if no one's in Mantino right now, which no, it's not because it's gone, but would that be going on? Or I wonder if our energy and our interest in it stirs it up.
I think the one problem we as non-spiritual beings, as far as like angels, demons, or God himself, spiritual beings that do not seem to have an effect or are not affected by time as we are. So we're affected by time. I mean, right now we're on a podcast. We got X amount of time to do this. We're going to be done. Time. Everything's time. Everything's a minute. For them, when you die, your little clock probably stops. So you reliving or repeating them over and over and over and over again may seem like nothing. God created time, light, day, night, moon, stars to separate time, not for him, but for us.
Yeah.
So we live by the clock, but once you're dead, or you're, a demonic being, or you're an angel, or God himself is not going to be answering to that which he created.
True.
So if you're in that realm, this is all speculation. This isn't.
Yeah,
you can't write in and tell me, "Oh, Scott, you know what you're talking about." No, because I'm not telling you it's fact. I'm telling you, there's my perspective. I'm open to hear things, and sometimes, you just open enough, you listen, you think, you study, you look at experiences, and you come up with what you hope's a good answer.
Yeah.
It's not easy though.
Huh.
What do you think? What do you think, Heidi? 3 balls on the strike.
Again, I'm it's like I just lean towards it being a demonic thing. I do agree that we don't have an answer of where.
It doesn't matter what you think.
Okay, Rock. But I agree with that. Because the Bible doesn't tell us where those people go that didn't know him, but the ones that did, rest in peace, and we don't know where everybody else is. So. I think that it is possible that these spirits and people experience are, but that's a very small percentage of me thinking that. I still think, I still believe that hauntings and whatnot are demonic.
You're wrong.
Well, there's a strong consensus among the paranormal community or whatever that residual haunting is the most common type of haunting. So
I'd agree with that.
Yeah. It's universally assumed to be true, but you have to remember that residual haunting is a paranormal hypothesis.
It's a fact.
No, it's not a fact. It is a hypothesis. It's a theory. It's always stated as fact, but it hasn't been proven. So what they're saying is that inanimate materials, like limestone and quartz, can absorb some form of energy from living beings during moments of high tension.
Yeah, quartz can. Known for that.
You don't even know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I do. People carry quartz rocks and different things. They have those because they actually give off a certain amount of energy.
like that copper bracelet that people wear for arthritis, it doesn't even work.
Yeah,
So-
it does work for some people. There's magnets in there which are beneficial. Earth things. They do have, and I don't want to get too new agey on you, but the things that God created all has energy. It all lives in some way. It all was created.
Yeah.
You know, so, yes.
Yeah, okay,
When
well
you
then...
can take the rock from my hand, then you'll have the rock. Very simple.
That's wow, very profound.
And then I
Yet
take rock
simple.
back, you have no more rock.
I don't know. Well, I guess depending on the weather and soil, the elements around will play as a medium. That's what they think. They think that the energy can be stored and then released, and it results in this whole recorded over and over activity. The hauntings, they say, are not intelligent. It's just a soundboard.
Like a recording.
Yeah.
Just over and over.
Yeah, I don't know.
When we start talking about pressure and people being touched and held down, it seems to be a little different.
Now, you know,
Now we're taking and going from walking into a physical realm.
yeah.
And your senses do different things. And, you know,
Well-
it's not like your eyes suddenly hear. So they are all different senses that work in their own little things. So maybe there's certain parts of our body at times. Ooh, I'm getting deep here, really deep.
I hear. Okay.
That parts of your body and then five senses, this is crazy, is maybe has ability to at times enter into that realm. It's like that weak spot where they're able to get closer to hearing that of the past, and the past is able to edge closer to what's going on. And it's just it's a real close fine line, like a fog, and it comes through. You realize that maybe, oh, this is really crazy. Maybe we're not even alive right now, but we are here now. And then we're running around like ghosts, and there's somebody else in this house right now running around going, oh, these stupid ghosts, they go up there every Friday night and they do this stupid podcast, the same podcast over and over, but it's not.
You're blowing my mind right now.
Sorry.
Damn it, Scott, I'm a podcaster, not a physicist. I can't get it. It is deep. I don't know. I guess,
Anybody want any more sugar?
well, there's a science view, too. Now, you know, a lot of people believe that everything that God can do can be proved by science, but we just don't have the capabilities to prove it. I disagree, because I feel it's two separate things. But, you know, with the science view, thermodynamics, which is the law of energy conservation, now it's used to support intelligent ghosts or residual hauntings. The concept says that since energy cannot be destroyed, then when people die, their energy has to go somewhere. You know, we've talked about this with the light being shot out, and that light can go on forever. So, I mean, energy is sort of the same thing, so that's what they're saying. They're saying it's got to go somewhere, and
Right.
maybe it bounces back and we hear it. I don't know. So, that conclusion's made that maybe provides a scientific basis
Or maybe
for intelligent
it's
trapped
just somebody,
spirits.
like one of those bad angels. He's
Okay.
just like,
That's what I'm
it's
saying.
like what he's going to do today. I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to play this. Click.
I don't think he's playing anything. I think they can make noises, maybe.
What,
Click.
I'm going to get click. Oh, I fell for it again. I'm an idiot. Well, here is basically the layman's scenario. Let's consider battlefields to be classic example of the perfect conditions for the creation of residual energy.
You have a hard time with that word.
So there's a bloody battle during a war. Hundreds of years later, I now see an apparition. Decked out in military garb. From that air, looking good. You know what I'm saying? Got the big old itchy. They had a lot of that wool back then. The guys itched. Anyways.
Okay.
So what did happen? The energy from that event is released into the bioelectric energy of the soldiers. And it creates what we call shock waves. Due to the violence involved in that situation. Now, all the emotionally charged energy is then absorbed into a surrounding environment, like soil or rocks, which are hard to find.
Oh my gosh.
Unless you're a stoner.
What? You're crazy. But that release of energy then hits the soil and then penetrates the soil. That's what they're saying, and then it sucks it up or something. Now, the alleged result, they say, is a cluster of energy that provides the basis for this whole residual paranormal activity. But a cluster of energy that is sufficient enough to cause all manner of paranormal activity is just, I think, way too much of a... I think they're reaching. I don't believe in the stone tea, at least. But like I said, if this was true, then we'd have nonstop paranormal activity because we've got that everywhere.
That's just it. There's a whole bunch of I don't know. So Scott and Heidi can't sit here today and tell you this is what it is. And if anybody tries to tell you this is what it is, it's like, no,
we're
just
guessing,
and
we don't know.
You try to use some logic in there.
We know a lot of things, but we don't know about this.
But I can tell you right now, mostly, if it came from my mouth, it's probably right.
Oh my.
Anyway, there is a few things to consider, at least biblically.
Boy, both of us are having a hard time talking tonight.
It's because, I get the time zone changes, so always mess with me.
No, there is no time zone change.
Oh, daylight savings.
You do have a cough drop in your mouth, so that's probably why. Okay.
Yeah, okay. So anyways, Genesis 4:10. God tells Cain after he killed his brother Abel, he says, the voice of your brother's blood is crying to me from the ground.
Interesting.
I mean, I think we belittle the idea of God. God created all things that way. All things answer to God.
Right.
Everything. The dirt has to answer. So if the blood falls into the dirt says, hey, yo.
And that's true, too, because
this
there's
is not
verses
normal. This doesn't belong.
that talk about that, that the waves cry out and the trees cry out, the rocks cry out.
And there's a part of us that hears that.
Like the
we
seashell.
Hear
we
when
hear
the waves
seashell.
come or waves come through and they crash against things. We hear that outcome. We hear the outcome of heavy wind, even though we can't see it. We see the outcome of these elements. Now that's on the heavier side for us. That's stuff we can't miss.
Right.
But air's always blowing, isn't it?
So do I really hear the sea in a seashell?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So seashell's supernatural.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that verse does mean something. The voice of your brother's blood is, does that mean is God trying to tell us something?
God got that message.
He probably
He's
doesn't
like,
want to mess with it.
Dirt and the, because remember, at that time, there hadn't been any killing of any kind at all.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
There had been no
murder.
Yeah, there hadn't been no murder. So, without the murder, there was no blood that ever had been really shed, except for in the beginning when he had to make them coats of skin, but no human blood had ever been shed.
So, very possible
that
God talked about residual haunting.
Could be. Who knows? I mean, it's a stretch, and we're just trying to open up thoughts, ideas. I'm sure we'll get a few emails on there. Maybe someone can get their 2 cents in, and then we'll have 4 cents.
Well, and then they say not only does the soil and the rocks, but the same would hold true through stone walls. That's why they have so much activity in the penitentiaries and the asylums.
Yeah.
So,
who knows? Maybe. I mean, they see a lot of times, especially in that Civil War, in certain places where they're able to say, "Oh, you can see a soldier going past here," a certain
do you think
time
maybe
every
though
day.
people are so into it that they think they see this stuff?
No, I think some of it's real.
You do.
I mean, because I've seen enough of our own stuff to know that I didn't make that up.
Right.
I would have liked to, but I didn't. But just like the sounds and stuff we used to get from your apartment upstairs. But we ran up there the next day. Was there anything there? There wasn't a single thing there. So one sense picked it all up, but the other sense did not.
But then, in that incident where I was at my mom's for, I think it was Good Friday, and I saw what appeared to be a cowboy-looking spirit or whatever, and then my relative came and saw the same one later. So I never saw anything before or
you're talking
after.
about 2 individuals that actually are sensitive to this.
But she had seen that spirit before because she recognized it.
Right.
I never saw it before or after that.
Right.
And so, even though it was dressed as a cowboy, wasn't reliving anything. It was just standing there.
Well,
so
now that's
the cowboy's hanging out with her.
I'm not so sure that's a residual then.
Right.
Because the cowboy's not repeating an action.
Yeah.
She's not telling you that he always comes and stands behind me at this time, at this place, every day. And what we're talking about, things that seem to happen on a regular basis or enough where people say, oh yeah, I've seen that soldier walk down that corridor,
Yeah.
6:00 at night at this time of the year, every year, and then you hear of stuff like that. We say, yep, around this time of the year, once again, maybe it is the conditions that makes, not so much that rocks are sending messages
Humidity?
back, but maybe it's the conditions are right, again, for you to kind of, some of our senses are able to see through that fog a little bit of what's going on.
The waxing crescent moon with a little humidity
I mean,
at
you don't know.
98%.
What the heck?
Yeah, we don't know.
I mean, I personally can see through walls, so I'm not worried about it.
All right, let's move on. There was this book that I had a long time ago when I was a kid. It was called The Island of Dr. Moreau. Have you ever heard of that? No, okay, you wouldn't, because it's all, creepy stuff. It was a 1896 science fiction novel by H.G. Wells. And now the book is about, the island is the doctor. He puts people and animals together and creates creatures all nutty.
Which I know that they're really doing in real life.
In Plum Island, we talked about, yeah.
Anyways.
But now now they're just coming out, and you gotta think, this was a science fiction novel in 1896. Here we are in 2016, not that far after, and it's a reality. Researchers from the University of California have successfully injected human stem cells into pig embryos. These human pig embryos are known as chimeras. They can potentially grow into creatures that contain human organs. Their goal is to have more organs available for transplants. They're calling it gene editing, and what they do is they gestate these stem cells or whatever into the embryos for 28 days, and then they terminate the pig pregnancies. Then the tissue is removed for analysis, and I'm just like, where does someone come up with this idea?
Well, they're looking for a host.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Like that movie Alien, where the little
Because they
thing
don't
goes
want to
up.
but the thing is, it's like, it's hard to find a woman to volunteer to say, okay, yeah, all right, yeah, I'll carry that arm.
Oh, God.
I
guess.
But when you start mixing people, DNA, and
God says everything's supposed to be after their own kind.
it's going to be a mess. But I don't know
think
if
God's going to honor this.
If there's so much mess in so many other areas that we'll never really get to know much about that mess.
Well, they say some things like, one of the quotes they said was, the embryos are mostly of pig origin.
Yeah.
Okay, mostly? Okay, what are the other ones?
Glad you like your new hand. Too bad it's hoofed.
Oh, God. I know. Okay,
Better than no hand at all.
Maybe that's what these things are washing up on beaches. They use the pancreas of humans, and the main concern that they have is that the human cells might migrate to the developing pig's brain and make it more human. Like in the Twilight Zone.
There was.
Where
Everybody was pig people.
Except her.
Except her and him, and they were all like, oh, you're so ugly.
They thought she was so ugly.
She wanted to be a pig, too, a pig face. Oh, my God.
So look at it. See how Hollywood just mirrors reality?
Yeah, right.
And of course, animal rights activists are questioning what this will open up a whole new avenue for animal suffering, and...
The problem won't be the animal suffering.
Well, okay, yeah, that's what I was going to say.
It's going to be effects of what they're doing. This is not...
I don't think God's going to honor it. I think it's going to be a huge problem. No,
but, now you heard about this now, right? You're telling us about it now. But who's to say this hasn't been going on?
Right.
Usually by the time you get this kind of information, it could have been a couple years have gone by. They're like, let a little leak out now. So it keeps people quiet. Just let them hear what they want to hear. It keeps everybody low key. And once in a while they go too far. But that's how they broaden the gap in everything. It's how they desensitize you to everything. Once you give a little here, a little there, and one day give you a big shot of something, you're like, oh, okay, ease off a little bit. Keep going. Kind of like, yeah. Were we going to talk about those killings going on at all? In the news? Or no, we weren't.
No.
Okay, but it's I'm not going to get rabbit trail that, so forget. We'll talk about it another time.
Well, they're more concerned about their studies, right?
Yeah.
But they also talk about those who receive one of these transplants. What could happen? Could they get viruses and diseases from the pigs?
Exactly.
And that could start a whole human population.
Absolutely.
Of a new...
Well, not just that, but that disease. A lot of diseases have been created. When you had the bird flu.
Well, they have something called... they've removed, right now, more than 60 copies of the pig retrovirus. So, that doesn't sound fun. Yeah.
Retrovirus.
This whole genetic tampering could produce big people, but I mean, then you've also got worried about disease. I mean, God
Are they
could
gonna have
allow
big
that
butts?
to happen. And you cannot lie.
Look at that big ham butt.
No one's going to be eating bacon anymore. So the scientists say that they can make these new genes superior to
Of course
human
they can.
donor organs. So pig embryo things are going to be better than
Plain
us.
God, yeah, that won't
There you
work.
go. Yeah. So good luck with that. And just like that Titanic ain't going to sink too. So.
Mike, get out of the mud.
Will you take my paper?
Oh, you want that?
Yeah, that's my notes.
Then why'd you slid it towards me? You were gesturing.
I wasn't. I'm getting comfortable here. Getting comfortable in
At least
my
a piece of
skin, my human
paper.
skin.
Yeah.
The other story, then I showed you the little
Right,
video
the link.
pictures.
Right.
The Hadron Collider and CERN clouds. Well, CERN, if you guys don't know what it is, it's the European Organization for European Research. The nuclear, right? It's all nuclear stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a couple different places, but this one in Switzerland has the Hadron Collider, and it's used to collide particles. And what they want to do is they want to discover about physics and possible parallel universes, and that's them saying it, scientists. Now, it's developed across a 16-mile ring, and it has superconducting magnets all around it. So this is where people are like, could this create like a black hole and swallow things up? I mean, we don't know. They're messing with weird stuff. I know.
Yeah, I
it
know.
blows my mind because like I can't even still
It's
figure
not
out
so
how
much
like
that
a
you and
camera
I,
works.
you and I don't know. Is that they don't know either. That's the part you should be scared of. Very scared.
Let's just check it out.
Because they're
Let's
like,
see what happens.
okay, let's turn it up a little bit. Let's see what happens. Huh. Well, it looks like Johnny just got sucked into the vortex. Got a replacement for him?
It's like Stargates.
Yeah, right. Sorry. Okay, that didn't work. He just come back to us inside out. Okay, next.
Next. Well, June 24th of this year, photos were taken of the Large Hadron Collider in Switzerland because that was the day that scientists at CERN began this new experiment called AWAKE, and the whole technical term is Proton-Driven Plasma Wake-Field Acceleration Experiments.
Of course.
Okay, so
Very clear.
of course, for all of us. So the pictures show something taking place directly above the complex there in Geneva. It's totally messing with nature.
Yeah,
The picture shows like a cloud with
it's
lightning, and so it's pretty. It looks like an electrical storm times like 100.
Yeah.
But it's right above it, and it's ridiculous and scary. So I don't
Well,
know.
start dealing with our world kind of runs on magnets. There's a lot of magnetism that has to do
The
with
world's
our
gonna
whole
start
planet.
spinning backwards.
We're faster and we're going to age quicker. Oh my goodness.
Oh, or we could go backwards to age. I would like that. Like
maybe.
decrease, that would be nice. I've been feeling a little more limber lately.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
All right.
ARS Techna states that the LHC, or the Large Hadron Collider, is having a phenomenal year.
Of course it is.
Now, last year's run was all about taking the Hadron Collider to higher energies. This year, they said, it's about taking the experience gained last year and using it to produce lots more collisions.
Great.
And they said, so far, everything's going according to plan. We're blowing stuff up in the universe. It's awesome. That's okay.
Well,
Sounds safe.
a good plan today is better than a perfect plan tomorrow.
Okay, I guess. So you can see in the picture, I'm going to put the picture up on our Facebook page and everything so people can see it. But, the questions arise, what are they really planning to do with this? They may be trying this, but there's always an end.
They want to talk about how they think that's how everything was created.
Yeah, it ain't
I don't
happening.
know.
And then, and what are they really doing with it right now? I mean, what are they going to do with it when it's just, it's dangerous. They shouldn't, it's like, you guys got too much free time. Why don't you help, develop cures for important diseases and things, and we don't need to be worried about that stuff. Worry about now. So, and then in the picture, I'm wondering, are they pulling energy from the sky and that's where the lightning's coming, or are they drawing the lightning up? I don't,
Right.
Some people think it's a portal to another.
Could happen.
I don't think so.
Me either.
Oh, you said could happen.
Could.
It could. But, I don't know. I just don't see that, so. But what do you think? Do you think they're going to be successful? Well, the Bible doesn't say it is, so I don't think so.
It'll probably cause some sort of little problem of some sort, just to be adding on to all the other little problems we have combined together, which have become catastrophic problems with weather and food and population and disease and government controls and chemicals in our food and our air, and so we could go on and on. This is just one more thing.
You really just can't keep up with anything.
It's like, yeah, the people over there are getting sucked into vortex. Meanwhile, over here, we're dying with GMO poisoning.
It's true.
So, I mean, it's just,
And here we've got Pig Girl.
another thing.
Yeah.
So if you have enough things going on at one time, it's hard to build a force up against a particular thing because nobody can agree upon the thing that's the most important to fight against.
Oh, yeah.
So when you have a zillion little things going on, it's like, oh, yeah, we fight for this and we fight for that. It's like, that's great, but it's spread so thin you have no power. And if you don't think that's part of the ultimate plan, is to leave people somewhat powerless, not able to pick. Some people might say, well, we're gonna fight abortion, or we're gonna fight this thing you're talking about, the cow. We're gonna fight GMO poison, what you're doing to the bees, and the whales, and it just doesn't stop. It's like there's not enough of us to go around.
Oh, yeah.
And some of us are so sick of being defeated and not getting anywhere because we don't have the power in numbers and money.
It's like the
that we
government's
don't do anything.
playing chess,
Right.
where you put all your pieces and you're so concentrated on one particular move, you don't realize checkmate's about to happen.
Yeah, there's so much going on.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they did with this. President we've had the last 7 years now. He came up the first few years with so many different things. He switched and changed at such a rapid pace that a whole bunch of it just slid right underneath the door and became laws and became real, and it never should have happened.
And now so many other things are going, like you said, going on.
You
But
can't
we're
keep up.
concentrated on other things, so we don't know. I mean, more people are worried about the Kardashians than they are
Right.
about pig people.
They can't even keep up with them.
It's true.
Yeah,
Yes.
who can?
Yeah. Oh, all right. Another story. Do you remember in the 90s, Dr. Kevorkian?
I do.
Dr. Death. For you younger people out there, he was an activist he actually fought for terminally ill patients and their right to die. He, through a physician-assisted person, they would help them commit suicide if they were dying and they didn't want to suffer anymore. And he said that he had killed at least 130 people that way. But then they told him he had to stop. He was actually convicted of second-degree murder and served 8 years. He's dead now, but back then in the 90s, late 80s and the 90s, this was a huge story.
Yeah, it was.
This is not something you did. You don't go around killing people, and back then too, same thing. Abortion was a big deal. You didn't do that. I mean, things have really changed. So the Netherlands actually have a law. It's like legal sympathy killing, and I wanted your take on it if it's murder. Now, recently, it was a former victim of child sex abuse. She ended her life under the Dutch how do you use it? Euthanasia?
Yeah.
Your dog's euthanized. And it's
So
under...
it's a lethal injection.
Yeah, under those laws, euthanasia laws,
Yeah.
I don't know. But because she couldn't live with her mental suffering from this abuse, she wanted to end her life. She just couldn't handle it. Now, they didn't publicly name her, but she's in her 20s, and she was given a lethal injection after the doctors and psychiatrists decided that her post-traumatic stress disorder and other conditions were incurable. And that made me so mad because everything is curable. I've seen people healed. In our face, we've seen people who are blind restore their sight. We've seen men who couldn't walk.
Yeah, there's
nothing is incurable. Nothing. I don't care.
But not everybody knows that avenue, and some people have had to live with it such a long time. They don't want to burden their family. They don't want to continue to suffer.
You got to find God because
Doesn't
with
mean
God there's always hope.
I understand it. Doesn't mean I condone it, but I understand it.
Yeah, I do too. I do, but it's just sad. I just hate doctors and stuff who say, "Oh nope, sorry, not curable."
You're done.
You're done.
Get on the other side of that wall.
Well, they went ahead and, despite improvements with her psychological condition, they still okayed this. I guess she began to suffer from mental disorders 15 years ago following the sexual abuse. And it's between the ages of 5 and 15 that she suffered this. And I guess, doing the spiritual work that we do, a lot of people with mental illness or schizophrenia or hauntings even have had some form of sexual abuse in their past. And it was a story that I read in a magazine probably about 2 years ago about this woman who she was raped in a alley, and when she came home from that rape, she didn't go report it. She was traumatized or whatever. She started having hauntings, and the hauntings that she had were very specific, and it was a smell, and that she had that relayed her to the person that did this to her. And when she finally did go to the police about it, I guess her friend convinced her to go to the police. They caught the guy because he had raped a couple other women. And the smell, I think, was like some kind of cigarette, Camel cigarettes or something. And this guy had that in his pocket. Camel cigarettes.
Okay.
So she feels that the haunting came from him, that he had demons on him, it came onto her. And then I started doing research on past cases of ours, and there were a few where that all sort of made sense. So I'm like, so in this case with this chick, that could have been cured by God, a spiritual way, when it comes to the mind and to suffering.
But not everybody knows that.
I know. Well, if they listen to our podcast, they'll learn it. So, and we don't hear a lot about this whole topic as far as, people being legally killed or whatever. But I guess a lot of people from the U.S. travel to Switzerland to die legally.
Oh.
And they just don't want to suffer anymore, terminally ill is one thing, but when you have somebody who's not terminally ill, but they're just tormented in their mind, what do you think? Do you think it's right? Does someone have the right? I mean, how the whole argument about abortion.
Biblically, no. So, in that standpoint, I have to say no. But
biblically, because
I mean, I just have to say it's not me. I'm not in that situation.
Yeah. So,
given the same situation, the same scenarios of these individuals, I don't know. I mean, as it stands right now, it's easy to say, I think you should do this, and this is right and this is wrong. But if you're the one that's been suffering and you've costed your family, let's say, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, and not that they care, they want to help or whatever, but you just get to the point where you're like, you know what, I can't do this anymore to anybody.
Gosh, but in 15 years, you think that someone in this girl's life would have talked to her about some kind of...
If somebody did, but you didn't want to hear it.
That's true.
You don't know. There's too many I don't knows.
And then my first chapter in my book is about the night that I attempted suicide way back in the day before I even knew God. But God allowed me to see the spiritual aspect of what was going on, and that was enough for me to regret it. That it was too late.
All them little events in your life had to happen so that it opens you up to stuff like today, where you're able to say, I was able to see some things that you've never seen.
Right.
People like to quickly judge and say, well, this isn't that, and you didn't see this, and you don't know. Well, there's lots of things we all don't know. You're able to see and feel things I cannot. But I've seen enough evidence to know that I know that what you are seeing, you are seeing.
But I get emotionally involved, and you have common sense and
of course, I have the S and the intelligence.
Oh boy.
Well, not only do I have an extreme amount of common sense, but my intelligence is off the charts.
And
way off the charts.
It helps ground me. Yeah. Okay, I have to ground you right now.
Leaps and bounds off the charts. I'm Chartomania.
Oh my
All right.
gosh.
Anyways.
Well, so yeah, I just think it's sad because I mean you got people are killing babies because they don't want them, and then you've got numerous killings of people because religions think that you're going to go to heaven with like 20 virgins or something, and then you've got killing random cops because they're white, and now you've got people killing because those people want to die. I mean, where does this end? It's death is final. And it's not even that somebody wants to die; they just want the pain to stop. That's why So, all right. Well, we haven't done. I've had a couple of people ask why we haven't done Rock and Reject, but it's because we go over our time.
Yeah, we try to.
But today we are not.
We're not over our time.
So
I cannot see our timer.
So, guess what? It's time for Rock and Reject.
Rock and Reject.
Right about now, you're about to be possessed. Rock.
Hit it.
All right, so I'm gonna do it Rock's time. Heads up, something's wrong. Okay, the Lynn family were on vacation playing the game Heads Up. And this is like actually a game created by the Ellen DeGeneres show, and it's now an act. Remember, we've played it before, where
you
on your
flip
head
these,
you have to guess. It's sort of like catchphrase where you have to guess what it is. Okay, so
everybody else around you is trying to give you ideas of what is on your head without telling you the word.
Right.
And you gotta guess it.
It's so fun. We have a lot of fun with it. But so the Lynn family, they were on vacation and they were playing this. And the first night the game went well, but the next night, this guy's dad started getting stuck on simple words. Like, and he was an older guy. Tiger, he couldn't get tiger. He couldn't get gopher. And the app will actually, you can record, you can videotape the person while they're trying to guess. So they're showing this to him like, hey, look at you, you can't get these words. He was so confused, they didn't understand. So they actually took him in to the doctor, and he was having a stroke.
Really?
Yeah, because the first night he did fine. The second night he couldn't get these simple words. So, so the doctors determined, and so, I mean, it's sort of neat that this game saved this guy's life because they would never have known if he wasn't playing the game.
I was just going to say to you, I'm like, where's the rock in this? But I'm like, wait, the fact that the game
saved his life.
Saved his life.
And Ellen brought them on to the show to talk about it and everything, and then she like surprised them with like a vacation or something. But I thought that was really, really cool.
Huh.
So I will let you. I wrote this out. The reject story. It's pretty good.
Okay, so thong song so wrong. So summer's here. That means time for fun in the sun. A lot of people spend time at the beaches and the pool. We don't have a pool. So where do you go? A lot of times a public pool. Well, a man wearing a thong was escorted out of a public pool. In Prairie Village, Kansas City had a site. Then they removed an unnamed man in his 40s for thonging it. Yeah. Okay, so he's been warned before. These aren't great kids. There wasn't any kids present. The police stated swimmers must wear something that covers your private areas. Each county and city is different, but in this case, they were locally nudity ordinance cited, so he got a ticket. You cannot be a man with a thong on.
I think that's pretty gross.
Yeah.
Who would go to a public pool in a thong?
You know, people don't think.
Well, but here's the thing. A lot of chicks go and their butt cheeks are hanging out and their boobs are hanging out of their little bikinis. No one says anything to them.
I know. I think there was something about that in, was it California or San Jose or San Francisco or something, where they had to actually rewrite the law recently because they had to say, look, you have got so little on.
Right.
That, it's like you don't have anything on.
Well, and then we researched it, and it's not a law.
Where though? Every state's different. Every city's different.
Yeah, but women can walk around with their tops off. I think that's what we were looking up.
Yeah.
And
some places.
Yeah, that's weird.
Because a man can.
So a woman can too. So they had to change the law to make sure no one can. But it's like, so that a guy can't, but a guy's privates aren't on his chest. The women's are. So same thing.
I know that could be a point of view.
Well, I just think it's really gross, and if I ever find out this guy's name, I'm going to be like, you don't wear a thong to a public place.
No, I don't wear one anyways at any place. I know that's too much information, but just
TMI.
Oh boy, well.
All right, that's it for tonight, I guess.
That's it tonight. So until next week, keep in mind, normal people have no idea of the supernatural realities around us.
Hey, this is Heidi from Talk Supernatural. You guys know I like to talk, right? So let's keep the topic going. Like our Facebook page, Talk Supernatural Podcast, and follow us on Twitter at TSR Parapod. Like us, love us, hate us, hit us up with an email, talksupernatural@gmail.com. Listen live on Friday nights and join us in the chat room. We'll make you guys part of the show.
Check out more from Talk Supernatural Radio. Head over to tsradio.net. You can listen to TSR on iTunes, Spreaker, TuneIn, and YouTube. If you have any questions or would like to know more on spiritual afflictions, hauntings, demonic influence, check out Scott and Heidi's SWAT resource site at EP612.com. SWAT.com.
This world's a tortured place to be. So many things to torment me. And as I stumble down this road, it takes a toll. I need an intervention. But I can see it coming. Some things just can't be explained.
And that's all, folks.